Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this video I want to clearly explain exactly what's happening with Bitcoin Cash, how we got into this situation where the different camps can't agree on the future direction, what you need to do if you're holding the coins, and how I think this is going to play out on November 15th as we approach this hard fork. So to start off with, let's rewind back in history to when Bitcoin Cash first came to be. So there was a group of individuals that weren't happy with the future direction of Bitcoin, SegWit and Lightning Network and these second layer solutions or changes to the base layer protocol. They thought Satoshi's vision was more on-chain scaling and increasing the block size, so they hard forked to 4 megabytes, and part of those changes were agreed future changes and upgrades every 6 months. So they since did a second round of upgrades, increasing the maximum block size to 32 megabytes, and we can see that clearly here with Bitcoin in yellow hovering around that 1 megabyte mark, give or take, and Bitcoin Cash increasing above that limit, particularly with those stress tests they did and so on, showing that this is possible. Now, where these issues have come about is the next lot of proposed changes, and these are proposed by Bitcoin ABC, which is the main implementation running Bitcoin Cash. You can think of these as the main developers or contributors behind the network that propose these changes and so on. But the problem in lies is that the other groups don't agree with these changes, and they think they're quite radical. Transaction ordering and these opcodes which allow for things like smart contracts. So I'm going to talk about why the others don't agree with these and why they're really butting heads and why this is so dangerous. So we currently have the different implementations with these different nodes that are all running the one Bitcoin Cash protocol. But the problem in lies is that now that they can't agree, they want to run a different protocol with different rules that's not compatible. So rather than just running different implementations, they want to run different chains altogether, which is why we might see this network split. Now, this is all going to, come down to who's mining which coin, because we have, the longest chain rule, and hashing power can attack other smaller coins and so on. And there's been, declarations of war from some players on Twitter towards these other proposed ideas. And now some of these players, CoinGeek is one of the biggest miners, and they're aligned with some of the ideals and others. So let's have a look at what's going on here. So CoinGeek, the biggest mining pool, Calvin Ayre behind that. He's been, definitely in Craig Wright's corner, who, if you don't know, Craig Wright came out and said he was Satoshi and then retracted those claims. There's a group of people that very much believe he is Satoshi and he is carrying on Satoshi's vision. Now, he's aligned with N-Chain. These guys believe they have patents, which mean that they don't need to even worry about these OPSIG changes. They're saying that we can do this with our patented technology. We believe we're going to make all these altcoins obsolete and all this sort of thing because of the research N-Chain is doing. Now, he's very much butting heads with Jihan who's behind Bitmain, the big hardware producer. Him coming out here and saying, CoinGeek is controlled by fake Satoshi. So no love lost between those two. Now, to begin with, a lot of people were supporters from the Bitcoin Cash community of both these guys. So carrying on Satoshi's vision, as Craig initially said, Jihan was very much for on-chain scaling because that would mean that the mining hardware makes more money for his company as opposed to Lightning Network, second layer solutions, which they're fearful will move a lot of transaction fees and action off the chain. So a lot of these people were very much behind Jihan and Craig to begin with, and now they're a little bit sus of their motives and so on. So Bitcoin Cash supporter Craig Wright comes out and says that Jihan Wu's Wormhole protocol proposed changes is what is what is driving him. That's his new motive. So what's Wormhole? You can think of what Jihan wants to do as allowing tokens on Bitcoin Cash and smart contracts, and there's even rumors that possibly proof of stake in the future. So a lot of the Bitcoin Cash community aren't now happy with Jihan Wu. At the same time, they're not exactly happy with all this nonsense that Craig Wright's coming out with on Twitter and declaring war, and this back and forth really has taken off between these two. So the main, figureheads or a lot of the hashing power behind these mining pools are the reason that the Bitcoin Cash community is a little bit disappointed with some of these figureheads. So now we get into the more neutral camps. So Bitcoin Unlimited is the first one. They're sitting on the fence and proposing that the miners vote or decide what changes they want. So they're going to give people the option of which of these changes that are proposed by both camps do you want to include. A much more neutral solution, sitting on the fence. We then have another faction, or Cobra, coming out and saying, look, there's just no consensus with anything at the moment. I'm proposing that we don't do any changes at all and we'll continue on Bitcoin Cash as it currently stands until we can agree upon those changes. But recently, only a couple of days ago, he came out and possibly changed his tune, saying, I now support the Satoshi's Vision client or proposed change. Now, Roger Ver, the man that many associate with Bitcoin Cash, he has been pretty neutral. Now, I don't think he's a huge fan of Craig Wright. I don't think he really loves what Jihan's doing either, but that's why this situation is so sticky. There's no, clear side to take here. And a lot of the smaller players, the neutral players, are the ones that are proposing the less radical changes, don't have that hashing power, that mining power behind them. And that's why the situation is so dangerous. So what do you need to do if you're holding these coins? Well, a few of the exchanges have come out and said that we will support these hard forks. In other words, once the dust settles and we know that there's going to be 2 coins or maybe 3 coins in existence, we'll give you those on our exchange. So Coinbase, Binance, I think Poloniex recently came out and said they will as well. But again, remember that they're going to suspend all deposits and withdrawals and have to wait for the dust to settle to see if there's, mining attacks from one chain versus the other and all that before they upgrade their systems and allocate you the different versions of Bitcoin Cash. Now, that's the same for hardware wallet providers like Ledger, who will create an app where you can plug in your Ledger and there will be a Bitcoin Cash Satoshi Vision app, for example, if that coin comes into existence. So we have to really wait and see. Make sure you've got your game plan sorted. You know what you're doing, because there's going to be scams out there everywhere telling you to plug in your private key and get free, 2 Bitcoin Cash and all this sort of thing. So don't get scammed, guys. Please make sure you've got your game plan sorted. So what do I think about all this? And I normally try to keep my opinions out of it, but so many people have asked me, what do I think about all this? Well, as I said, I feel a little bit sorry for people like Roger Ver or the Bitcoin Cash community that are really true believers that honestly believe that they're carrying on Satoshi's vision to be subjected to all these egos and this infighting. It really is toxic, guys. And to be honest, Bitcoin Cash have become their own worst enemy. They're killing themselves from the inside out, and it's not a good look as others are sort of looking in on this. So at the moment, the median block size is 37 kilobytes. So do we really need to further upgrade that to 128 megabytes or even bigger that they're proposing in the future? And one of the things that creates is difficulty to run a node. So at the moment, anyone can really set up a Bitcoin node with that's got an average size hard drive and a decent internet connection and so on. Whereas if we increase these block sizes to 128 megabytes every 10 minutes, I need a lot more hardware. I need a lot more mining hardware, a better internet connection and all these sort of things. But some of the Bitcoin Cash community have come out and said that that's what they want. They don't want you to be able to mine on a laptop. Their vision is for mining to be this really professional operation. And to be honest, I don't really agree with that. I'd like anyone to be able to run a node that can. The more decentralized we have that, the better. And we really do see so many contributors running Bitcoin nodes currently, and that would definitely decrease even for Bitcoin Cash from, they tend to have 5 or 10% of the hash rate of Bitcoin currently. If we further these changes, and I think that's going to decrease the number of people that are capable of running nodes with that more advanced, expensive hardware. So that's definitely one of the concerns that I have. I really wish that they had a more neutral resolution, because at the moment it looks like they're going to butt heads. And this idea of decentralization, openness, permissionless, this really goes against everything that I think Satoshi would have wanted and what blockchain and true decentralization is all about. The fact that we have these one or two figureheads really coming out and dictating what they believe is the future direction, what anyone else says is wrong. A lot of these arguments that Bitcoin Cash made against Bitcoin about a small group of individuals determining the direction, Blockstream proposing these radical changes, and so on, can now be made against them and the individuals that are behind these arguments. So there's no clear resolution. A lot of people are scrambling because they believe they're going to get all these different free coins and make a lot of money. But I just advise you to be cautious and understand the situation, because it may get complicated and it may take a few days for that dust to really settle. So hopefully that's a good, unbiased, clear explanation of the situation. Let me know your comments below, guys, on your opinions and how you think this is going to play out. Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Looking forward to reading your comments below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll talk again soon. Cheers.